What is particularly interesting about this recent footage, which has come from Venezuelan sources because of the proximity to the Venezuelan border, is that these particular aircraft, although we know aircraft is being used against narco carrier boats that are trying to travel from Venezuela to the United States, that these are little birds. And little birds, which I have come across many, many times in different theaters of operation, are more often than not used by special forces units for assault type of operations. Although we know that US military will carry out operations and exercises regularly in different parts of the world and in different theaters of operation, this being carried out so close to the Venezuelan coastline, particularly in little birds, which are more often used for assaults by special forces, as they are generally flown by members of the 160th Special Operations Aviation Group. And although this may not be part of a full-blown incursion into Venezuelan territory, there is a possibility that one of the things that is upsetting Trump the most right now is Maduro is sanctioning the use of drug-carrying couriers via, obviously, maritime means into the United States. And this might be a precursor or a rehearsal prior to an attack or an assault by US Special Forces onto particularly drug or narcotic related enterprises. As we know with Donald Trump, he is not shy to encroach on other sovereign territories. We saw that quite recently in Qatar on the targeting of a single residence where leading members of the Hamas negotiations team were located. So to encroach on Venezuelan sovereign territory isn't necessarily a massive stretch, especially as they pose a risk and a threat to the United States. But there are two types of operations that could be run. And this looks as though this would be more a possible saber rattling in advance or as a warning to a potential overt assault on Venezuelan narcotic enterprises, or as opposed to, say, a clandestine covert operation, which could be run, obviously, similarly by special forces units. There is inevitably a lot of speculation and conspiracy theories that are being generated from these recent photographs and people's assessment of what they believe this could relate to or could be associated to. And one of those is a potential assassination of President Maduro. My feeling, and based on my experience, is it's highly unlikely that they would advertise through these means. And an attempt to take out President Maduro by an assassination of some sort would be far more covert or clandestine. And there are specialist elite units which would be utilized, such as the Special Activities Division or even certain elements of CIA ground branch. The benefit of using the AH-6, or the Little Bird as it's often called, and the Night Stalkers, the 160th Special Operations Aviation Group, is that they can launch from large ships, motherships where they can deploy, get as close as possible, and then the period of time that is covered between these ships and the shore can be of minimal distance. These kinds of assaults, no doubt, will raise attentions, obviously, with the country that it's looking to undertake this incursion on. And I would say that no doubt President Maduro, in the wake of these sightings of these very near by operations, or certainly rehearsals and exercises, will no doubt be beefing up his security and his military on those possible shorelines. Now, the fact that they're carrying out these exercises where they've actually carried them out does not mean that that would be the definitive point of entry or point or position from attack. There's ultimately a multitude of other areas, and I would not be surprised if there are other sightings that may be dotted along the coastline of Venezuela, making it virtually impossible for Venezuelan forces to potentially counter an assault if it was indeed going to be one.